Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi. So supportive.
Family meeting here.
Big family meeting. Todo el mundo apoyando. So
Todo el
nice.
mundo.
I feel so loved and appreciated.
Great.
Hi. So I'm just going to wait a little bit longer just to let some people come in.
Perfect.
Y entonces vamos a comenzar.
All right. So
Pues la familia, estamos duros aquí.
we are going to talk about body image issues. Right?
Yes, we're gonna talk about issues with like your physical body, your fitness your fitness instructor. So you work with the body all the time. I work with the brain, that part of the body. And I think too many people are going through a lot during this time frame mentally when it comes to their body. And it can be very stressful and very overwhelming for people to keep up this perfect image of what their body should look like.
Do you think we should to translate? Because I
We
think
can
we
do,
have
yeah,
some,
no, nosotros podemos
some
hablar,
Spanish.
this is the whole point, que esto va a ser en inglés y en español, como entre los
Okay, perfecto. So, vamos a
dos. So,
hablar
tú puedes decir de tu parte como lo que yo dije prácticamente.
Exacto. Bueno, pues técnicamente vamos a hablar de lo que es los problemas con la imagen corporal, lo que sentimos cuando nosotros nos vemos frente al espejo. Como Jenny dijo, yo trabajo con el cuerpo como instructor de fitness, ella trabaja más con la mente, así que vamos a hacer aquí como una especie de mix en cuanto a lo que es mi experiencia y la experiencia de ella como terapeuta familiar. And so we are going to talk about 5 topics in this TED Talk.
TED Talk.
Yeah, our TED Talk. So we are going to talk about how body image affects you emotionally during quarantine time. Why we think our body should be perfect. How realistic during this time and in general to reach body goals. What are situations in which cause anxiety and feelings of depression and comparison?
Yeah.
So we have 5 topics. And what do you think if we start with the first one?
Yeah, we could start with the first one. And una cosa que yo quiero decir, lo voy a decir en inglés, en español, es que si cualquier persona tiene una pregunta, you can ask the questions in the little question board down there. If you have any questions about it. So the first thing that we want to talk about is how body image is affecting people during this time frame. And I'm going to give just a little bit of what I've seen. I've seen a lot of people get very stressed and overwhelmed about eating habits, and eating a lot through anxiety, and I think anxiety is just kind of like something that sometimes people don't even realize that they're kind of eating to soothe a form of anxiety or a form of like depression, because it's soothing. It's something that kind of makes you feel good. The first thing that you're thinking about is like, okay, you know what? I don't feel good, so let me get like a coffee, or I don't feel good, so let me eat like this donut, or let me eat like this slice of exactamente, like this little slice of pizza is gonna make you feel so good. And even I've done that. I've fallen into man, I love me some bread. I can eat bread all day long. Bread is like my lover. But I find that a lot of people have been feeling like I'm not moving a lot. I'm not allowed to go out. Yes, ice cream is also another thing. How can I get the motivation? Because that's also what I see, a lot of lack of motivation.
Well, before you talk about the motivation, I want to talk about how I'm feeling, like
Claro.
how I can be affected by my idea of the perfect body, like a fitness instructor in this time. So,
Okay.
for example, I'm at home the whole time and I have more time to do everything. For example, if I'm going to take a shower and I'm going to take off my clothes, or I'm going to put my clothes on, I have more time to appreciate my body in the mirror. So it's not for example, if I have to work, I just put my clothes on and I go, and I don't have time to see myself in the mirror. So now we have more time to see details and see, oh my God, what is this? Oh my God, what is that? Or this, or this. Y en español, o sea, ahora uno tiene más tiempo para uno poderse ver en el espejo y decir, ok, como ve esos detallitos que uno normalmente no ve porque está en una vida cotidiana muy rápida y entonces tú no tienes tanto tiempo de estarte chequeando en el espejo y todo eso.
Claro.
And of course, the part of the anxiety, because we are encarcelados. How do you say that?
We're enclosed.
Like,
we're kind of
like,
forced
like
to be.
in a prison.
Yes, kind of.
In a kind of prison.
In a pretty prison, though, because it's your
yes,
home.
in a pretty prison. and we want to feel some kind of pleasure, so that's why we are eating that much. So
Claro.
and then we get worried about what we eat. For example, in my case, if I eat something like I shouldn't eat, for example, a piece of bread with butter, I'm gonna be like thinking about that during the whole day. In my case, like I don't know if it's like that.
No, una persona me mandó mensaje, cállate. Una persona me mandó mensaje preguntándome sobre como eating disorders. Someone, and just to kind of like, I'm gonna be going in English and in Spanish. Someone messaged me about it, can you relate and talk a little bit about eating disorders? And I said, it's very possible that you can develop one, because again, like you said, we're kind of looking at our bodies now all the time. We're having like a full blown, like, look at yourself in the mirror, look at what you look like, and you're kind of alone with your thoughts. And something you said earlier was really important. Like, we're always on the go. Before you don't take like a moment to kind of sit down and be like, oh, I'm gonna look at myself and I'm gonna appreciate myself for what I am and for what I look like right now. And like, I'll share a little personal experience. Like, I got a surgery done about a year like a few months, the bariatric, right, to help me lose weight. And the whole purpose of it is to maintain like a certain like status, right, where you lose a certain weight and then you keep it off. But I've been like stuck here at home, so I haven't been able to do exercise, or I can do it at home, but my space doesn't allow the space to do that. Y eso es algo como que yo encuentro que es importante para decir, si uno no tiene el espacio para, to be able to do exercise, to be able to be active. So how do you pull yourself out of that? If you don't have that space, how do you love yourself a little bit more and remind yourself that not to get to that negative space of.
Is that a question for me?
Yes, that's a question for you. Like, okay, how do you pull yourself out of that?
I think we have to be very creative when we are going to think about some trainings or whatever. Because, for example, I'm here in this chair right now, and I can work out with my legs, I can work out with my arms, I can have 2 dumbbells right here and doing this, and that is a workout. For example, for people, and that are in overweight,
Mm-hmm.
like but really overweight, like for example people that cannot stand up or something like that, they start programs doing exercise sitting down, for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
doing arms or just moving their legs or something. I think there is always a space. If you can be a stand in a space or in a
Mm-hmm.
chair, you
Mm-hmm.
have a space to move. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to be like, we are at home. We cannot like run 2 miles or something inside the house, but
Yeah.
maybe we can run in place, or
Yeah.
maybe we can play some music and dance some merengue or salsa.
Or whatever, right?
Yes. So in talking about like in regular life, like when we are in our normal life, going out for work or hang out or whatever, like we are getting distracted all the time. So when negativity come in this time, we have more time to keep it in our mind,
Yes.
because we are not
Absolutely.
moving around. So when we
Yeah, because
feel
we're not
bad
doing things
about,
that are distracting ourselves.
so when we are feeling bad about what we ate, or what or if we, for example, okay, I didn't work out today or something, we have time to think and rethink and rethink and rethink about that. So I think that is the big difference in how body image affects us in this time compared with normal time.
Yes.
And and I think, and it's a good, like, for example, for fitness instructors, I think we have and fitness instructor and gay community, because in gay, gay guys are very, like, sometimes we are very, um I don't want to say that word. I want to say another word, like,
Pero dilo en español. Say
como
it in
que nos
Spanish.
sentimos, como que queremos muy, para nosotros es muy importante la imagen. Image
Okay.
is very,
Pero
image.
no, you know what's interesting? No es nada más para ustedes. Yo creo que para el mundo entero. So just I'm gonna just say it in English. Like he's stating that that in the the Latin and Hispanic, Black, all of the community, right? And then specifically to the gay community, that there's a huge focus on the physical, and that creates a lot of anxiety. But I was saying to him in Spanish that it's the world overall. There's a huge
Yeah.
focus on the physical and how a person looks and how a person you see, it's not that people are shallow. I think it's that people are learning how to see outside of that. Remember, the senses, there's 5 different senses, right? The first thing you see is with your eyes. So you're gonna go ahead and kind of like work with whatever you're seeing first, right? So that's why I said, not that everything has to be perfect and appealing, right? Because the first thing you see in a person is even like a fruit. You're not gonna get like an ugly fruit for some reason. Like if it
Yeah.
looks a little weird, you're like, yo no sé si yo voy pa esa fruta. But then you look at the fruit that looks nice, like a dragon fruit, right? Like, if it has some brown
Yes.
leaves, you're like, nah, I'm not taking that one. I'm gonna take the one that doesn't have the brown leaves. So everything is about image, but I think it's just about,
in,
go ahead, dime.
in my experience, I feel like a lot of pressure because I'm a fitness instructor, and if I want to compete with in my target, I have to look in shape, and I have to be in shape all the time.
Yeah. That's a
And
lot of pressure for you.
yes, 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 it is. And that makes me think about why why we are all the time thinking about how we look, like where that came from. And
Mhm.
I think it's about the como los, ¿cómo se dice? Los como los
Oh, like
lo
precognitive, like so the unconscious mind. Yes.
Yes.
I also,
Uh,
but I also think it's a it's like, it's something that's already been innate within yourself. You always have to look good. You always have to be proper. You have to do this. Like, I even remember, like in manner school, right? You're not supposed to put your elbows like on the table. And I remember getting yelled at, like, by putting an elbow on the table, but everything had to be pristine, perfect, and looked, perfecto.
when we
And,
when
and,
we
and that's stressful.
and now I think right now that's changing a little bit because now we can see more body diversity in television, in famous people, in models, and like en diferentes profesiones,
Claro.
en diferentes profesiones, we can see different kind of bodies right now. But I think
Yeah.
it's still being something important for society in general, how you look. So, like a family therapist, I want to ask you, like right now, how how can I deal with that pressure? For example, because some people can reach those goals because they have good genetic, because genetic is an important thing when you are trying to change your body.
But here's what I'm going
And
to say, it's not good genetics. It's just they have different genetic makeup. Because that's also like one thing I talk about as a therapist is your language is very important. How you talk about yourself is how your unconscious mind perceives your reality. So lo voy a decir en español para que la gente lo escucha. Yo hablo mucho del lenguaje. Como tú hablas, como tú mentalmente ya está como recording en tu mente, como tú te estás percibiendo. Alguien escribió algo largo y dijeron, it's important to change the language of health and beauty. What is healthy and how can it be more factual to beauty and can be different? Absolutely. That's what I said, that me as a therapist, I work heavily on perception and heavily on language. um
can you give
so
me an
for it,
example?
so yes, that so for example, you like something right now, like saying good genetics, right? There's I think it's not about what good genetics is. I think it's just about just different genetics. Like, for example, Latinos and
Yeah,
and
because
black
when you say
communities.
good generics, that's mean there is bad generics.
Yes,
So
exactly. So
different is
so
the
there is
word.
no good or bad. I think there's just different. So for
Yeah, that's right.
example,
I'm totally agree.
genetically speaking, right? Men are made to be more lean than women, right? So women will gain weight more in their hips, but that's not a bad thing. That's because that's part of their, like, genetically speaking, they're being prepared to bear children. That's why they're so heavy on the bottom end, right? The hips, the wider hips, and the thicker thighs, and so that's why, for genetically, right, women are more stronger down. Men are more lean because it's more, their body's not made to have children, right? So they don't need that extra weight that a woman would need when they're trying to bear children. And going, into race, like Latino and black communities have more wider and thicker body makeup, but that doesn't mean that it's bad either. Yes, a lot of curves, a lot of curvas. um and so, the more of the, like, western and, like, I'm sorry for my dog.
So
uh
I think I think we have to like we have to accept
yeah.
our bodies. Like and
Mm-hmm.
and I want like I think that is more a psychology question too. Because okay, I have to accept my body, but at the same time, I want to look different. So how how can a person find a balance between acceptation? ¿Cómo se dice? Aceptación.
Como accepting,
Ajá,
como uno puede aceptar, yeah.
accepting and what you really want. You know, like 'cause I say, okay, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself, but I really don't like these fucking hips, or I don't like this belly, or I don't like this chest. So, how how you think people can find a health and healthy balance there?
You know, there's something very interesting about that question, because right now, as you were talking, it triggered me. It made me emotional when you were asking that question. And it made me emotional because it is something that I think you continuously battle with. Acceptance of our bodies and think our bodies as a source of energy is how do we keep it healthy? Absolutely. Um, and but to add on to what you just said, is I think it's a constant re asking and revamping and re-accepting yourself every day as you are. Every year, every day, you gain more knowledge and more understanding. So you change. You know, as time goes on, you begin to change. And so, as you begin to change, you got to accept yourself through that change every single time. You can't keep so hard on yourself and keep beating yourself up for not being who you were, and forcing yourself to be who, like an unrealistic expectation of yourself. I think it's not about the image. I think it's about being healthy. I think it's about not just being healthy mentally. I think it's also about being healthy physically, and
And
that doesn't always have to look a
I
certain
think,
way.
and I
uh
think another thing, I think that no matter how perfect your body is, we are never satisfied.
to a degree, yes.
That's the point. And I wanna say something like, for example, that's, I think, I don't know, when I think about body, I think in a holistic way. Like we need so many different um madurez in different ways. Like mature, we have to be mature in different
Yeah,
ways to accept
yeah,
our bodies. Because, for
yeah.
example, at the end, at the end, life by nature kill your body. You know,
Yeah.
like
You know,
you.
it's interesting you said that, because mami siempre me dice que uno la nace para uno morirse un día. O sea, tú tienes
Yeah,
que
and I and
saber.
I and I'm talking about this because I think beauty is, como tú dices, sobrevalorado,
Yes.
over over
Overvalued.
overrated,
Yes. Okay,
overrated.
yeah, that's a form of it.
It's overrated because it's temporal. Like
Temporary, yeah. But that's why,
in nature is temporary. You're going, like, this is not gonna be forever. And I think that is another population, like the people getting old, or
yeah, yeah,
yeah, like people getting old, like when they, for example, when they are in 40, 45, 50, and their body are really really changing because they are getting old. That is
yeah,
another, like, I cannot talk too much about it because I'm 32 and I don't
yeah.
feel in that, but I'm pretty sure that is something that that population um confront, como que tiene que
Yes.
verlo.
See, you know what's interesting though, que tú dijiste eso, I always find also that women who have children and accepting their bodies after they've had
accepting
children.
accepting accepting our body is loving who we are. If we can't accept it, then we far away from loving it.
Yes, and I agree, but going kind of a little bit back to what I was saying is, even women beat themselves up because it's almost like they have to snap back to who they were before the baby. And I always say, like, it's hormonal changes that cause issues. It's there's so many things other than just what you consume, like what you're eating, that affects your physical body, like the energy that you're putting in. If you're negative, if your self-talk is horrible, if you constantly are buying clothing that doesn't fit you, or if you haven't changed your perceptions of yourself, if you are constantly negatively talking to yourself, if you're not um
If you are
doing
putting too much attention on the negative part.
yes, then of course that's going to change your perception and seeing it in that way. And also, don't beat yourself up. Again, like I said, particularly for the women who are mothers who are listening, like, your body is going through many changes. Like, you can't just stay stuck and force yourself to be who you were before you had that baby. You have to accept that your body will continue to go through changes
And I
after
think,
the baby, a year later. You know what I mean? Like, your body, and this is also for the men here, your body is always constantly changing. Every 7 years, they say, right, that your body regenerates.
and I think a way to see it, another way to, like, superar las cosas, como que lo negativo. How do you say superar?
Sí. Uh-huh. Uh,
Move, move on.
move forward.
Like, move forward from the negative part is, uh, appreciate the good things. For example, in the case of women with children, like, you have your children, like, it's like, okay, what I prefer, to go back to my young body or my children. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? I don't know if
Yeah.
that is
Pero
it's a healthy way
yo
to
te
put it or
entiendo.
not.
Yes.
Let me know.
No, I agree. I agree. But I think it's a balance. I think it always comes back to a balance. And it's what I keep telling people, like, your life is always going to go through different phases. I think accepting that we're getting older, accepting that our bodies are physically changing is the part that creates a lot of stress and overwhelmingness. If you're healthy and you're doing everything that you need to do to take care of yourself, if you're doing the walks, if you're taking like 5 minutes to do that, yes, self-affirmation, self-awareness, having conversations, and redefining your beauty. Absolutely. Therapy is definitely, me, I'm a big advocate for therapy. I'm a therapist. But I think that for those who can't afford to go to therapy, for those who can't be able to reach out to other people and go to therapy, I always say, writing, like, one thing I've been telling people is that make a list in the mornings of things you want to accomplish in a day. Don't be unrealistic with the list, because some of you guys are perfectionists. You don't gotta be unrealistic. Make a little list, stick by it, so that you can see your progression. And I think that when you see a little bit of progress, because that's how people are. When they see progress, they feel better. Go. What were you gonna say?
It's the same thing with fitness. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we talk about what, like, some stuff, like, we really can't change. Like, for example, our genes, or I don't know, age, or after having a baby, or things like that. But at the end, always, when you work out, when you do exercise, you can change a little bit. Like, you can change always. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter if you have too much hips or too much arms. If you do exercise, you are gonna be like a better version of your natural,
Yourself. Yeah.
yeah, of yourself. So in fitness is the same thing. You have to put little goals. Like,
Yes.
usually when people want to start exercise, they want to go every day to the gym. They want to spend 1 hour. They want to run like 50 miles, and
Sí,
it's like, no.
exactamente.
Like, I think it have to be the opposite. I think, if you
Poquito
think
a
about,
poquito.
yeah, if you think about to, for example, run 4 miles, I recommend to do two.
Mm-hmm.
Because you are gonna be like in this, like, por ejemplo, en la posición de que tú puedes seguir haciendo más. O sea, tú vas a querer volver al otro día al gimnasio. Because if you do too much, you are gonna hate gym. You are gonna
Yes.
hate exercise. If you do, like, oh my god, I feel like crap, like, it's gonna be like, you are gonna hate that. So
Yeah.
you cannot establish a relationship with fitness and workout. So I think if you want to start workout, if you want to start working out on your body, start small, but really, 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 really small. For example, they
Yeah.
in fitness, they recommend like minimum 30 minutes of physical activity, 30 minutes of physical
I'm sorry.
activity per day.
I'm sorry. I'm just reading a little bit of the questions that were asked. Someone said, "What are tips to keep myself motivated during this time and de-stressed?" uh,
And the stress, but like about it's about it's about fitness, it's about workout,
yes,
or it's in
a little
general.
bit of like how to keep motivated with that. Um,
Well,
Dime.
look, um, for example, the general recommendation for to keep yourself physically activated is to spend like 30 minutes or 20 minutes doing any physical activity. And a physical activity is not exercise. It could be, for example, watch your
Eso es
window,
muy importante. Dígalo en español también.
watch your windows, or paint the walls, or encerar el carro. Like, there is a difference between wash the dishes because you are stand and you are just moving your arms. But when you are doing an activity, like you go down and up all the time, it's more physical activity. Then if you reach those kind of activities like 20 minutes daily, you can go forward and you can do the second step. You can do something more like exercise. For example, you can um, subir y bajar la escalera 10 veces. Translate.
So like, just to kind of sum up what you were saying, is
Yeah,
just
but
taking some
I
time
wanna
to.
like say that exactly that. Like if you
Okay,
subir y
so
bajar la
going up
escalera
and down the stairs for like
for 10 minutes,
10 times or any amount of time.
for 10 minutes, for example, that's the exercise.
Yeah.
That is a point to start. You know, like you can start small. And if you are a person that usually work out every day and for like an hour or something, like you are constantly doing workout, when you fail, for example, if you eat something that you shouldn't, or if you skip a day or whatever, don't let that to stop you. Keep going, because in each time when you do something,
Hmm.
your body, it's going to receive it. You know, if you do an half hour of exercise, 1 hour, it is different to do nothing. Like, si tú haces 1 hora de ejercicio, va a ser diferente a no hacer nada. O sea que no permitas que una falla, que un error te detenga.
Yeah. And so, eso es muy importante. And that's something that and I'm just going to repeat what he said, that he said, don't allow like one small mistake to be what
Something is
kind of
better than
stops you.
nothing. Good.
Yes, something is better than nothing. And I'm gonna add on to what you said. I think another thing that's really important is that understand that it's not one time or two times or three times that messes up the whole situation. Is if, let's say, you do it every day for about 6 weeks. That's the problem. I'm a big believer in consistency and remembering that every day you can create a habit. So if every day tú te dices, okay, you know what? I'm going to eat this donut. And then here we are 6 weeks later, 6 weeks of every day you eating a donut, then what do you expect? Because that's what you're giving. Do you get what I'm saying? So if it's 5 minutes for 6 weeks of you walking up and down the stairs, I think it's a give and a take. And I think the other question is, and this is me just saying as a therapist, and not to you, but like to the people that are listening, like, what habits have you been creating while you've been home? right? What habits, good or bad? And I just kind of want you to look at that, and I kind of want you to have a moment to analyze that about yourself. What habits have you been creating? If you, what have you done consistently every day? And so look at that. How have you been talking to yourself every day? Don't brush off little things like, you know, and one thing I always tell people es cuando por ejemplo, cuando una persona dice, yo soy tan estúpida, o eso es tan estúpido, yo soy estúpida así, o, you know, I'm so stupid like that. I always tell people that that way that you're talking about yourself, it sticks to your unconscious. You know what I mean? Esa forma, aunque tú estás jugando.
I'm lazy. I'm so lazy.
I'm so lazy. I'm just so stupid. You know, yo siempre digo cosas así tan pequeñas. Es lo que se graba en tu mente sin tú saber, porque es inconsciente. You know what I mean? Again, I'm going to repeat this in English. You repeat whatever language you say, you're repeating it to yourself, even if it's a joke. You create that, and that's the conversation that your unconscious believes, because your unconscious doesn't know the difference between right and wrong. It doesn't know the difference between negative or positive. What are they saying?
Sabotaged by your what happens when you are
When you're struggling with having better habits, but you get sabotaged by your family? I'll let you take that one because you
me
experienced that. Yeah.
Well, yeah.
And I'll say something later.
Yeah, well, it depends. Like sometimes it's hard, like harder for some kind of situations, and sometimes it's easy. Like in my case, for example, I'm living with my mother, and sometimes my family are here. So when I wanna do something, I try to use my space. For example, in a space of the house that I can be alone. And if I cannot be alone, you know what? I do my announcement. Hey people, I'm gonna do this here in the middle of the living room. Okay, okay, you know, and I do it. I got to spend like 30 minutes, 15 minutes. And yeah, it's kind of hard because sometimes you wanna do some stuff and you don't want anybody anybody around you when you are doing that, but you have to do it, you know, and you have to figure it out in some way. You can, for example, um, what else? For example, if you have a little kid, a baby, and like you don't have too many options because you cannot put your baby in en una
else,
gaveta,
right? Until you're
en una
done.
gaveta y guardarlo, por ejemplo. But you can see how you can involve the baby in the activity, or and ask for help. Like I think it's always about to see what is your situation and be realistic. Like, okay, I have this, and this, and it's the same thing that we said before. Probably you are focused too much in, oh my God, I have people around all the time and I cannot do anything. Try to switch that thought and try to think about, okay, what I have, what are my tools? Okay, I have this, and this, and try to do something with that, right?
Yeah. So my adding on to what you said is I think focus more on what you need to do for you rather than focusing on what your family is sabotaging. Each person is their own individual, and the one thing I always stress is do not concern yourself on what other people are doing, even if they are your family members. Your family members are their own people. They are their own human beings. They're going to make their own choices. They're going to do whatever they want. You focus on what you can do with your life and with your time frame. Even if you're surrounded by a lot of people that aren't necessarily the healthiest, you are staying healthy. If you're feeling self-sabotage, it can be beneficial to look at your ability to create boundaries. Absolutely. Like I said, you know, like I was stating, I think it's really important for you to just focus on what you need to do for yourself. Sometimes being assertive can be a little bit difficult, but I think you just saying like, look, this is what's good for me. This is what works for me. This is what's best for me. It may not work for you, and that's okay, but I need to work for me. And this is what makes me feel better. And I think that's the important part, just being able to do that and express yourself in that way. And I hope that answered your question. Um, you know, if you know, like I always tell people, like if they need to talk or if they need some sort of like guidance, to always just, you know, reach out and just DM me, or you know, they could even reach out to you if they want to talk about like more about fitness, or creating a space to help them with a fitness plan.
Yeah.
So that's like something that I always say, you know, boundaries is a really important thing I talk about all the time. And people who know me, they know me. Like boundaries is my middle name. I always tell people, keep a boundary. If you're not okay with something, do not agree with it. You know, no.
So,
Because yeah, go ahead.
um, no, finish your idea.
No, that I said that because, you know, I've suffered from being too nice and saying, no, it's okay. No, it's okay. It's okay that you do that. It's all right. Because I wanted to help someone, and I wanted to make sure that they felt good. But the problem is, I can't always cater to everyone else if I'm not okay. So I think making sure that you're okay first is really big. And I'm a big advocate for keeping boundaries and stating what it is that you need for yourself. And sometimes that may hurt someone else's feelings, but you're not responsible for someone else's emotions. You're not
True.
responsible for someone else's feelings. You're only responsible for yours.
So, I want to do like a resume about what we were talking about to
Yeah, go ahead.
close, I
Tú
think.
lo puedes decir en
So,
español
sí,
y yo lo digo en inglés para la
perfecto.
gente.
Sí. Bueno, entonces hablamos de cómo nos afectaba la situación ahora mismo de la cuarentena en cuanto a nuestra imagen corporal, cómo nos vemos, cómo nos apreciamos, que a veces ahora tenemos mucho más tiempo de apreciar lo negativo. O sea, que muchas veces con las distracciones del día a día, cuando estamos en nuestra vida regular, no tenemos tiempo de ver lo negativo. O quizás lo vemos un poquito y después nos ponemos a trabajar, o nos volvemos al supermercado, o salimos a guiar, o sea, y no tenemos, y entonces ahora nos sentimos mucho más afectados. Entonces, esas son situaciones en las que nosotros nos vemos teniendo problemas con nuestro cuerpo. Eh, ¿Y por qué nosotros pensamos que nosotros tenemos que vernos bien? Bueno, pues por todo las imágenes que hay ahí afuera ya predeterminadas de lo que se supone debe de ser un cuerpo perfecto, de lo que se supone que debe de ser bonito. Y entonces, por un asunto de lo que sea, de genética, de si soy alto, de si soy muy bajito, no logramos cumplir con esos estándares. Yo había dicho que ya eso está cambiando un poco porque ahora vemos diferentes modelos corporales en los diferentes medios, en las pasarelas, en los artistas, en todos los lados, pero aún así todavía tenemos esta concepción en la cabeza de lo que debería de ser el cuerpo perfecto. Entonces nos movimos a hablar un poco de la aceptación, aceptar lo que tenemos, ser real con lo que tenemos, aceptar que hay cosas que no podemos cambiar, por ejemplo, después de tener un bebé, por ejemplo, después de haber cumplido cierta edad, eh, y enfocarnos en la parte positiva. En lo positivo, siempre va a haber algo positivo, depende a qué tú le estás dando más importancia. Si le estás dando más importancia al brazo que no te cambia, o si le estás dando más importancia a la linda pantorrilla que tú tienes. Si tú de repente estás viendo que los pechos son muy pequeños, pero de repente quizás tú tienes un pelo hermoso. Entonces, depende qué tanta atención tú le das a una cosa a la otra. Ahora, no es imposible cambiar, siempre vas a poder cambiar algo una vez tú empieces a tener un estilo de vida saludable y hacer algo de ejercicio. Comenzar pequeño, comenzar pequeño, con lo que sea, 15 minutos, media hora, 20 minutos, no te ponga presión en cuanto a la cantidad de tiempo que tú vas a invertir en hacer ejercicio. Que si lo hago todos los días, que si le dedico 6 horas a la semana, no. Nadie te está esperando. Si tú eres una persona que está comenzando y tú tienes 10 años sin hacer ejercicio, tú tuviste 10 años sin hacer ejercicio, no quieras hacer el ejercicio de 10 años en una semana. Empieza más pequeño de lo que tú piensas. Si tú metes 1 hora diaria, empieza con media hora diaria. Si tú metes media hora diaria, haz solamente 15 minutos. Ponte un poquito por debajo de tus expectativas para que puedas cumplirlas y entonces no te canses. Y finalmente, por ejemplo, el espacio, volverse creativo. Yo estoy aquí ahora mismo entre un piecito y puedo moverme un poquito, 15 minutos, lo que sea. O sea, el espacio es lo de menos. Tú siempre te puedes mover a algún sitio en el espacio, aunque sea tú puedes hacer ejercicio ahí, en ese solo lugar. Y entonces hay que entender que cada día que tú trabajas es un progreso, un pequeñito progreso. Siempre hay un pequeñito progreso.
Yeah.
No es lo mismo tú no hacer nada que hacer algo, como dijo una persona más arriba.
So to give a little resume of what we spoke about and what he was saying, he was just kind of giving a little overview of what we were talking about, and just so that I give the English version is as simple as this. Start little by little. It doesn't have to be you know, a crazy amount. I think that when it comes to working out and doing some exercise, he stated, and we both agree that, you know, if you do an hour, do a half an hour. If your usual is a half an hour, do 15 minutes. Don't get stuck in having to do it like in a big space. It could be something as simple as you just kind of moving your arms, moving around, and just kind of getting your body moving, your blood flowing, even if it's something as simple as you standing up and sitting down, standing up and sitting down. And so that's one thing. The other thing is understand that your body is always going to go through changes. Your body is always going to look different, whether it is after having a child, whether it is because you've gone through something, and whether it is your age. You know, your body's constantly changing, and I think that it's just about you doing and spending a little bit of time working on it with yourself, and that's what will help you get to your goal, right? Whatever that goal may be. And also changing of expectations. Your expectation doesn't have to be like this unrealistic high-end expectation. I think it just has to be what works for you. And what works for you is going to look different to your mother. It's going to look different to your cousin. It's going to, like, my expectations of my body versus his expectations are going to be two different ones, because he's a fitness instructor and I'm a therapist, and I spend most of my time sitting down you know, and he spends it moving around. So I think also understanding where your expectations are and making sure that they are realistic. And you know, the other part of that is, don't beat yourself up. You know, negative talk is very harsh on the body. And to be honest, that's also a form of weight gain, right? Because you're not allowing your body to be what it needs to be. You're not allowing it to express itself in the way that it needs to be. And you know what? Your goal and your version of beauty is your version of beauty. It doesn't have to always fit with someone else's idea of it. And so I know that during this time frame, it could be very stressful. It could be extremely overwhelming to try to fit these unrealistic goals. But my love, these unrealistic goals have been there long before this quarantine, you know? And I think it's just a matter of being healthy, and not just being healthy physically, but being healthy mentally. And I think that when you combine both, you create a better space for you as a person. So I want to thank you for joining me and for doing this with me.
Thank you.
It was like really great to kind of talk about this,
Yeah.
because so many people were asking and talking about it. I hope that you guys, if you know someone who wants to talk a little bit more about this or just kind of view this this episode, it'll be up on both of our Instagrams for 24 hours. I'm going to
Yes.
try to save the video and see if I can post it on my Instagram TV, but I'll keep you guys posted. And thank you for joining. Thank you for talking and even
Thank you.
engaging
Thank
with
you,
us. I
everybody.
really appreciate it. Oh, I love you too.